Welcome everyone to the Air Conservation Commission meeting. This is Thursday, February 11th, 2021. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the open meeting law are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For the Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Joanne Kristoff, Conservation Administrator, at concom@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8249, or Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager, at cantellis@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220. All right, in attendance this evening, commissioners, we have Jenna Maya as member. We have George Bacon as member. We have Jess Gugino as member and clerk. We have Mark Phillips as vice chair, and myself, John Schmallenberger, as chair. Do we have confirmation of agenda?
The agenda is fine as it is.
A motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We'll do a roll call. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jen, or Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Do we have approval of meeting minutes?
We have
for
two
Jan-
sets.
We have two sets. The Conservation Commission minutes of January 28th, 2021. Everyone has read the minutes.
And John did find a spelling mistake.
Which is shocking because I can barely spell my own name.
So what's wrong with the rest of you?
Anyone else?
Was an alternate spelling.
It's an alternate.
That's right.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 28th, 2021 as written, as amended?
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. So we'll do a roll call vote. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We also have meeting minutes from a joint special meeting with the Air Conservation Commission and the Air Planning Board. That's everyone of January 22nd, 2021. Has everyone read the meeting minutes? Any corrections that anyone could find? Beautifully written, as always.
Just like being there.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the Air Conservation Commission meeting and Air Planning Board special joint meeting of January 22nd as written?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We'll do a roll call vote. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And we have a report, payables report. Any questions anyone has about the payables report? Okay.
Joanne, I think last time I asked, were you able to confirm the Ecotech payments? Are these the last ones then? Or with the PO amount or whatever?
Ask me that again, Mark, please.
With regard to the Air Solar 2B peer review, have we now used up all the funds there?
Yes, I did check and we have used all of
Okay.
the funds.
All right. Our first item this evening is the public hearing continued notice of intent at number 1 Bishop Road, DEP file number 100-0449. This is Carlos Obregon, who I think is not able to be with us this evening.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Obregon has a very serious illness in his family, so he won't be able to make it this evening. And I did contact Administrator Christoph in advance to let you folks know.
All right, we appreciate that.
I did receive a draft copy of order of conditions from Ms. Christoph, had a chance to review it. And Mr. Obregon has no complaints about, why would he? He has no concerns about any of the conditions and is willing to move forward. I believe Commissioner Parker had asked for a planting plan. So what we did do was a planting sketch. I was able to locate the suggested plantings from Administrator Christoph at a local nursery, and we'll be able to put those in as soon as the weather allows us, probably mid-April, end of April, at which time we'll let Administrator Christoph know about it and come down and take a look at it. And hopefully we can go forward with finishing this project up.
Okay, so 30 sweet fern plants, and did you talk about putting some kind of bark mulch or?
Yes, we can put some bark mulch down along the edges, and that should stabilize it pretty well. And quite frankly, I give Administrator Christoph a pat on the back for picking that variety, because quite frankly, there's not much else that could live there.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any comments from commissioners about the orders?
No, I think it looks good. Thank you for the planting. Appreciate that.
Not a problem.
Any comments from any viewers that are watching and listening? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the orders of condition, to approve and vote on the orders of conditions at number 1 Bishop Road, DEP file number 100-0449?
So moved.
Second?
All right, thank you. It was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We'll do a roll call. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote? I didn't hear anything.
Aye, sorry.
Yep, thank you. And chair votes aye. I don't know if it's just my computer skipping, but I didn't hear you. Okay, so the orders are approved. Appreciate you working with us. Is there a motion to close the public hearing at number 1 Bishop Road, DEP file number 100-0449, Mr. Carlos Obregon?
So moved.
Second?
The motion was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We'll do a roll call vote. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
aye,
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Thomas, for being with us this evening.
Thank you very much. We appreciate an opportunity to work with your commission. It's always nice to see how another commission gets their business done, and you do yourself very proud. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
Have a good evening, sir. Yep.
Hey, Tom.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Our next item this evening is the public hearing notice of intent. Jonathan Drive, DPW Cross Country Water Main, DEP file number 100-0455. And Dan, you can give us a little bit of overview about what's going to go on?
Yeah, sure. I'll actually share my screen, if that's all right. I have a presentation, a quick one I put together.
Sure.
See if it works. All right, can you see my PowerPoint?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I actually put this together. I modified it a little bit, but this project's going through the MEPA process, and we had a virtual site visit, which Joanne sat in on too. And so I had a presentation.
Can you explain what that process is to people who don't know?
On the MEPA process, so MEPA is the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act, and it's basically a group that's under the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs and Energy, and certain projects that go over certain thresholds in the state have to submit an environmental notification form, it's called, to MEPA. And essentially what MEPA does is collects those ENFs and then distributes them to stakeholders within the state that can then submit comments about the project. Oh, I'm hearing myself. They submit comments about the project related to how it's going to impact the environment. And, you know, if there are alternatives you can do, ways you can mitigate the project, et cetera. So the stakeholders are like DOT, DEP, Mass Historical Commission, and several more. And it also is available to the general public to comment on as well. So the threshold for this project, I'll kind of get into it, was DCR Rail Trail is Article 97 land. And if you're disposing of any Article 97 land, which we're going to dispose of it because we're going to need an easement for our water main, excuse me, we need to submit an environmental notification form to MEPA. So it gets filed, it sits out there for about a month for commenting, and then the MEPA director makes a decision whether we need to do an environmental impact report or if we're okay, basically. So it's actually in that process now. Today was the last day for the public and the entities to submit comments, and then on February 22nd is when we find out if the ENF is okay or if we have to submit an environmental impact report, which I've never had to do that before, so I hope we don't. But obviously you'll get to see all the comments when they come in, and we still obviously need the order conditions permit, so you'll get to see what they have and if you want to add anything in there. So why don't I get underway and kind of describe the project? I don't know if there's any questions about MEPA, if anyone wants to ask first, or if we should just keep going.
Dan, if you could just explain to anybody else watching what Article 97 land is, because
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
an obscure little thing.
Yeah, so Article 97 land is basically conservation land held by the state, and it was set up in 1997, and so there's certain lands that are in Article 97, and the rail trail is one of them that's in Ayer. And if you, the regulations are that if you were to change any of that land in any way, then there has to be specific criteria that are met, and it's pretty stringent. So for our purpose of the disposition for for DCR Rail Trail, we need to go through a town meeting vote, and then we have to give DCR either monetary payment for the easement or a swap of land, basically. But I think there's also Article 97 land, I believe, near the dog park in town. I don't know exactly where it all is in our town, but but it started back in 1997 to, for conservation purposes. All right, so the project we are proposing is the Jonathan Drive cross-country water main. And in my presentation, I'll go over the project scope, the resources that are impacted, some mitigation measures we're taking, a little more on the easements in Article 97, the environmental permit status, some site photos, and we can look at the site plan too. Okay, so the project scope and summary. Basically, we're installing a water main cross-country, and we're going to create a loop in the town's water system. And you can see on this figure here, I'll zoom in a bit. So the northwest portion of town is pretty much one big dead end that doesn't have a loop. So where this red line is where we're connecting. We'd like to connect the water main. It's the end of the Riley Jane Farm subdivision. They're installing a stub out to the end of lot 4 and 5, and we were going to take it from there underneath a few properties over to Jonathan Drive. And so that'll give us a lot of, a redundant source of water in this area. So if there is any issues out here, we'll be able to, shut down a valve, and we'll be able to backfeed the area. It'll also increase the water quality and the fire flow in the area. Oops, go back. There we go. Environmental permits for the project. We're obviously here tonight for the Conservation Commission notice of intent. Natural heritage, there's a file number for that I'll talk about later. In the MEPA environmental notification form. And here's the threshold we exceeded, 11.03 1A3. And it's conversion of land held for natural resources in accordance with Article 97. Oops, what happened? The amendments to the Constitution of the Commonwealth to any purpose not in accordance with Article 97. So here's kind of an aerial view, a close-up. It's kind of easier to see what's going on here, but this is from Mr. Mapper, the town's assessor's site. And you can see this purple dashed line is the 20-foot wide water easement. And I'll get into it later, but we have a legally recorded easement on the 29 Jonathan Drive property. Here's the DCR rail trail. We're working through the Article 97 process, and then we'll obtain an easement after that's complete. And we've been in contact with DCR about that. And then this is National Grid property here, which we would go through, and I'm working with them on a easement. I actually just got comments back from them a couple days ago. So as part of the MEPA process, we did do, look into some alternatives. A different location would probably be harder if we were to try to loop this area. You're probably getting into more impacts the further north you head. It would be nice to loop the hospital, but now you're talking about more wetlands. You're further into natural heritage. The ACEC is up this way. So where we are located is our best spot to do it, I believe. That's obviously, that's in the ENF. And if we did nothing, we'd have, no redundant water supply, poor water quality, and poor fire flow in the area. And kind of looking at the fire flow, I used our water model to estimate how much fire flow we have out there. So before 2020, at the end of Fitchburg Road, we were getting about 712 gallons per minute of fire flow. We actually just constructed a loop on Groton Shirley Road, which you may be familiar with. And now we're getting roughly 748. And then if we construct the Jonathan Drive loop, it bumps it up to 810 gallons per minute of fire flow. So we increase our fire flow out in the area. And there are at least one business out here that has a fire retention pond because they just don't have enough fire flow, and they needed to construct one. So it's definitely needed out in that area.
And is there a certain number or threshold we're supposed to be shooting for?
Oh yeah, 750 gallons per minute is the threshold. So we actually almost make it now. This is in the model, so real life, could be different. Although we did do some hydrant flow tests out there, and they were very similar. I think we had slightly higher pressure, but resources impacted. So this was in the NOI submittal, but we are within a priority habitat. We're kind of straddling it. I have it on the site plan. And obviously there's wetlands that are impacted too. So that shows up. Here's the site plan. I did some highlighting here. I had put on here 100-foot and a 25-foot buffer. I should have put a 50 because that's what your regulations have now. But anyways, and the blue is highlighting the wetland area. So basically what we're proposing to do is connect to the water main that gets installed out here at the edge of lot 4 and lot 5 on Riley Jane Farm subdivision. And then this is actually changing. So we were proposing to do an open cut, so an excavator cut and dig and install the water main up to this location, and then do a horizontal directional drill underneath the rail trail and the wetlands over to Jonathan Drive. But National Grid doesn't want us to have an exit pit for the horizontal directional drilling underneath the power lines. They wanted us to do it up here. So we're going to put the horizontal directional drill the whole thing. So all the way from the lot 4 and 5 to Jonathan Drive. So I'm updating the plans for that. But basically we'll have a gate valve installed on either side. There's already going to be one over on the Riley Jane Farm, by the cul-de-sac. And then we'll have another one here to control the water main in case there's an issue with it in the future. You can just shut it down and decide what you need to do to repair or whatever, fix it.
4 minutes.
Okay, I'll try to move. Mitigation measures. So we propose some compost sock straw wattles. There's a sheet D11 with erosion sedimentation control notes. Horizontal directional drilling I mentioned. So we did this on Wright Road in town a few years back. Some of you may have been on the commission. I know Jess and George were. Oops, keep hitting the button. But basically horizontal directional drilling, you have an entry pit on one side where the drill rig is located and an exit pit on the other, and they can drill underneath the ground and track it from above on foot with a device and basically not impact any of the surface. Let's kind of skip ahead because we got not much time. So we talked about the easements. We have one for 29 Jonathan Drive. We're working on it for the rail trail and National Grid. And we've been in discussions with both DCR and National Grid, and they are very open to allowing it. Environmental permits, we're working on the NOI. Natural heritage, we had a determination letter of no take, which was included in the NOI submittal. And MIPA ENF, I went over that. The EIR decision would be on February 22nd. So here's some site photos. Just look, here's this one. This is on of the field area. Kind of, this is where we were going to have the exit pit, but now it's going to be all the way kind of up there somewhere. There's an existing kind of informal trail that connects the area, but the area is kind of wooded just east of the rail trail. And there it is again. Here's the rail trail. The field is up behind this wooded area. And now we're looking down toward Jonathan Drive from the rail trail. There's a path down here with some wooden planks, and the wetlands are down in this area. And this is from Jonathan Drive, kind of looking up toward the rail trail. I did put a little video in here, but we probably don't have time of horizontal directional drilling if anyone wanted, if you wanted me to kind of, give you a better understanding of it. But for now, I guess we can pause. And do you have any questions for me at this time?
Dan, can you go back to the drawing that shows the 25 and the 100-foot buffer?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're bringing your exit pit all the way out beyond the 100-foot buffer on the right, correct?
Yeah, it's going to end up being right about here where my arrow is.
Okay.
Yep.
And then on the other side, you'd be just about at the 25-foot. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it like in the road. Might have to be just off a little, but yeah, it'll be right there. It's like a 5 to 6 foot deep pit.
Yep.
If there is high groundwater, they can do a shallower pit. But typically that's what they do, about a 5 foot deep pit.
Is that the depth of the pipe as well, 5 feet?
Yeah, let me pull up real quick.
1 minute.
Oh, zoom in here. Yeah, here's our profile. So we'll stay a minimum of 5 feet deep for a proper cover. I think we say that here. Yeah, proposed minimum 5 foot of cover.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we did it on Wright Road a few years ago, and it went really fast. Out there, it's very sandy. Out here, it's medium dense to dense till material. But I talked to our horizontal directional drill contractor, and he says that's not a problem for them to get through.
Mhm.
Hey, Dan, this says 12-inch. I thought I saw something on one of the other. Is it 20-inch or 12-inch?
Oh, it's a 12-inch pipe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw something earlier that said 20-inch, so I was just confused.
Oh, I hope I didn't. Yeah, I'll double check everywhere, but yeah, it's 12.
John, we're at time.
Thank you, Jen. All right. Thank you for that presentation. It was very,
You're welcome.
very informative. I appreciate it. We probably need to go out there and take a look, do a site walk at some time when it's appropriate, not now. So we have time to wait till the weather gets a little bit better to go out and do a site walk until you want to start your construction.
Yeah, so we're waiting around town meeting time is when I should find out if if it passes town meeting, then we can go ahead with our bidding. That's April 26th. So yeah, late March or early April, if you get out there on a walk, you could probably wait till then would be adequate. Hopefully by then it'll be melted.
Yeah. So I guess can Joanne or someone put this on their calendar so we can get it on the agenda and get a site walk set up? Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. Any other comment
Okay.
from commissioners or people viewing?
One question. It looks like the plan, the contingency plan for any unexpected spillage or anything is the same one that more or less the same one you used for Wright Road?
That's correct. Yeah, so I just tinkered it a little bit. It's essentially the same. So that's in the NOI packet too.
In that plan, it talks about lost circulation materials. What is that?
So the drill rig, they use a mixture of bentonite clay and water. That's the drilling fluid. So if material stops circulating, that means it could be breaching to the surface or it could be breaching downward. It means it kind of found a less resistant place to go than back toward the entry or exit pit. So when that occurs, that's when you stop and you go, check the surface areas to see if there's any breakout anywhere. So that's the. Oh, go ahead.
What are these lost circulation materials?
It's the drilling fluid. It's bentonite clay mixed with water. So when the drill goes forward, it shoots out a jet of the drilling fluid. It's bentonite clay mixed with water. It kind of cuts into the soil to sort of cut ahead for the drill probe.
Okay.
It's like a slurry, and then it comes back down the hole that the horizontal pipe has gone down. It comes back to the entry or exit pit, whichever way you're going. And then there's a tank at the entry pit and at the exit pit, and they vacuum it up. They remove any cuttings at that time, and then they pump the fluids back into the pit. So they sort of recycle it and keep it going. So if they start having losses, then they know, it's not going where it should be going.
All right.
We need to pass along the information that we had put for Shaker Pond directional bore. We had issues with, not issues, but just the plan in the event that there is a breach, as Dan was just saying.
Right, what we did was we gave them a copy of the Wright Road plan.
Okay.
Plan.
Nice job.
So I think we're good.
Excellent.
Any other comments? Okay. So do we make a motion to continue this
Yeah.
until when?
Jess, do you have our meeting dates in April? I don't.
Yeah. Uh,
So we have to pick a date certain to continue it too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
8th and
April
22nd.
yeah,
I'm sorry, I heard two things. What was it?
April 8th would be the first meeting in April. I'd suggest we do that one.
Yep. All righty. Is there,
Although, could I just make a suggestion? Oh, no, I guess that would be fine. Yep, that's fine.
okay. Is there a motion to continue the public hearing, notice of intent, Jonathan Drive, DPW Cross Country Water Main, DEP file number 100-0455 until April 8th?
I'll move.
Second,
It was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We'll do a roll call vote. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
I,
Mark, how do you vote?
aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Dan.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, our next item this evening is a public hearing. Notice of intent at 0 Central Avenue, Mr. John Hillier, DEP file number 100-0451. And Joanne, anyway, first off, good evening, Mr. Hillier. Yeah, I see that you're with us. Muted. And Mr. McKay, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. That kind of a day, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Good evening. How are
Good
you?
evening.
Good evening, John. How are you this evening?
Very good, thank you.
Good. So Mr. Bouchard and Ms. Christoph worked on some orders for 0 Central Avenue, and they sent you a copy as a courtesy, and you sent back a lot of edits. And the first thing I want to say is that the commission is under no obligation to allow edits to the orders. And commissioners have read the amended, I'm sorry, the amended orders.
mhm.
Yep. Do members have comments?
When you say amended, you're talking
I'm
about.
sorry, did the edits of they've read the orders with the edits from Mr. Hillier and Mr. McKay?
Yeah. Yeah, what sort of comments are you looking for? I thought we were, well, I know one was the change in the planting deadline from June 1st to December 1st.
Yeah, I was a little curious as to why it got changed to so late.
Sure, I'm happy to address that, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
And before I answer that specific question, the overall purpose of the comments that we and the changes to the order that we suggested was in some instances to clarify the order, in others to address an ambiguity or a duplication of a particular condition. So they were offered in good faith and not with any intention to sort of put a stick in anyone's eye or suggest, anything nefarious. Rather, we were just trying to get the most accurate order that we could without putting Mr. Hillier to task too much, and to trying to state some of the background as sort of fairly and as objectively as we thought was appropriate. But the answer to your question is, the reason that we requested the December deadline is because when the initial June deadline was proposed, this was back in the fall, when there was some hope that we would actually be able to get the plantings, if not all of them, at least some of them, or get started in the fall before the planting season had ended. And now, obviously, we're not in that position. We aren't able to start the work now. It's our intention to do the work in the spring, but there's some fear on our part that if everything is left to just the spring, that we may have difficulty actually getting our contractors on the site, or getting the materials on the site to do the work. So we still know that it's got to be done, and that there are penalties associated with non-compliance. But we're just trying to avoid in advance a logistical problem in getting the plantings and getting them timely and getting them in the ground.
All right, I honestly don't see an issue with getting the plants and getting them in the ground. It's only 12 trees. They're not that huge.
You saying by June 1st?
By June 1st.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we agreed to plant the trees some months ago, and this process has been drawn out continually at great expense to myself, engineering and legal fees. Reviewing agendas and the continued delays causes a problem, and I'm asking for more time to recover that financial stress.
Could I say something? Just
Yes,
looking
Jess.
at our timeline, we decided on the June 1st deadline at our November 5th meeting. Our next meeting was November 19th. That was continued at the request of the applicant. Our next meeting was December 3rd. That was continued at the request of the applicant. And then we met with just Mr. McKay and Mr. Burchard on December 17th. It would have gone on to our January 14th meeting, but that was also continued at the request of the applicant. So I don't see how we've been responsible for delays in the last few months.
Comments, George?
I agree with you. I don't see it as being a huge burden. I mean, if there's progress made and it's not finished by June, I don't see that as a big issue either. But so I don't think pushing it all the way to December is necessary.
I agree with George, but I do want to say progress made with legitimate reasons as to why it's not completed. I mean, if we get a giant snowstorm in May, obviously that's one thing, but if it just isn't done, then that's a concern. But I think we're all reasonable people and understand that something delays happen occasionally.
Comments, Mark?
Yeah, I'm pretty steadfast on the June 1st date. I don't think I'm going to find it hard to believe there's going to be anything, even a snowstorm, that's actually going to result in being able to, or not being able to plant these trees. Snow will melt. That'll go into the intermittent stream that's sitting right there and drain very quickly. You can dig a hole, plant a tree, put some stakes, and keep it watered through the summer. I think it's fine.
Comments from commissioners or anyone who is viewing on Zoom? All right, is there a motion to approve and vote on the orders of conditions at 0 Central Avenue, Mr. John Hillier, DEP file number 100-0451?
These are the orders as prepared by the
As prepared.
administrator.
Exactly, yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We'll do a roll call. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
I,
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. So those are the orders. And is there a motion to close the public hearing at 0 Central Avenue? Mr. John Hillier, DEP file number 100-0451.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We'll do a roll call vote. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
I,
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
and Joanne, did you want to say something on, an order can always, there's the appeal period?
Yeah, so I will issue this order on behalf of the commission on Tuesday, the 16th, because I guess Monday's a holiday. And I'll send it out certified mail to Mr. Hillier, and Mr. McKay, I can copy you as well if you would like.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
And from the date of issuance, not the date of receipt of the certified mail, but the date of issuance, there's a 10-day appeal period during which any aggrieved person may appeal to DEP for a review of this order. Aggrieved persons can include the applicant, a direct abutter, or any 10 residents who come together as a group to appeal, and anyone else who can show that they are aggrieved by the issuing of this order. So just to make that very clear to everyone.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. The enforcement order update, that just goes away, right? I'm sorry?
I think Mr. Bederth is trying to speak.
That's correct.
Okay.
As I asked at the commission's last meeting, I don't understand why the no disturbance in the buffer zone is not being continue to be enforced. I noticed the last 3 snowstorms continue to plow dirt directly next to the intermittent stream. Also, still parking within the buffer zone, but especially the plowing where the dirt's all being disturbed, just plowed directly into the right next to the stream. Is that not a concern to the commission?
David, there are snow removal guidelines. There are no snow removal regulations. They're plowing, he's allowed to plow on his property. And there is, so what there is for us to do is on a case-by-case basis, if there seems to be an issue, we look at it and make a decision. There's a huge berm right on the left side next to the intermittent stream. Any dirt or snow will not go into that intermittent stream. It will go next to it and it will melt away. And if you look in town, how many how many streets get plowed down towards ponds by DPW? And that's not an issue. We've looked at it, David, and we do appreciate your concern. We don't feel it's an issue.
Okay, and how about the fact that in the original enforcement order and such, it was indicated that no parking would happen within the buffer zone?
We said that Mr. Hillier could park up to 4 vehicles on his property.
Within the well within the buffer zone, within 15 to 20 feet of the intermittent stream.
Well,
I thought the issue, as I remember written, was he's more than willing, he can park wherever he wishes to, as long as he was not within the buffer, or at least, closer to the outside of the buffer versus directly, in the buffer.
Well, I was under the impression that's what he was doing.
No, it's not. He's parking within, he comes, the cars, the vehicles are, he comes in his drive, he turned, and it parked directly right there. So he's well, within the buffer, within, like I said, within probably 20 feet of the berm. And I understand the conditions of the dirt is not offering a problem, but I don't believe that in other places in town that the DPW is plowing up the buffer zone into a buffer zone or into a stream or anything like that. Yes, dirt gets plowed in, things get things get into streams or into waterways, but they're not plowing the dirt directly in the buffer zone. And also, it was written that he would not park in the buffer, and any kind of oils and that can soak into the dirt and underneath that berm. I just like to understand why.
Well, I guess we'll have to ask, is it possible for the cars that are parked on the property to get further away from the buffer zone?
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to address that.
Yes, sir.
So I think your instinct at the outset was the right one. And I appreciate Mr. Bedurtha's comments, but we have been addressing this very issue with the commission for many months now. And I don't have the entire plan up in front of me, but I believe that the entire parking area, which has existed there for decades and been plowed for decades, is within the buffer zone. So suggesting that he shouldn't park in an area that has been parking for decades now, because it's located in the buffer zone, I just don't think is appropriate or fair. There's no evidence that parking there is causing any degradation of the resource area or negatively affecting any resource area. It's a parking lot. It's a gravel parking lot, which is better than a paved parking lot from an environmental standpoint and reducing stormwater runoff and things of that nature. So I just, we've addressed this issue with the commission. We made concessions limiting the number of cars that could be parked in that area. We've identified where the parking area is on the plan. The commission has addressed the issue in its order of conditions that was just voted by the commission. And that order of conditions was to resolve all of these enforcement issues as well. So I just don't see this as a live issue as it stands right now.
All right, thank you.
And I would take exception. This has not been a parking area for decades. It was an access road for the railroad. There was no parking happening there. It's been stripped and cleared to be a parking lot, which is Mr. Hillier's right to do because it is his property. However, he's done a very good job, I would say up to now, of parking the cars, once the commission told him, outside of the buffer. He parked them a good distance, at least probably 100, the 100 feet, maybe even further, but close to. And I don't see why, if that's the case, plow away from the buffer onto his own property and park further away. Again, it's the commission's choice, but I don't understand why the rules vary or change depending on what the applicant wants to do.
You have comments, Jess?
I just was wondering, when was he parking 100 feet away from the buffer? What are you talking about there? I'm confused.
Today, he has a car parked there. There are at least one vehicle parked within 15, maybe 20 feet of
Yeah, but
the berm. All over the summer, all his cars were parked fairly far away from the buffer.
We have 1 minute left.
Thank you. George, you have comments?
No.
Mark? Are you
I
muted?
couldn't get off mute. No, I'm fine. We've approved the order of condition for allowing four vehicles to be parked there. I think we're done with this public hearing.
Jen, you have comments?
I agree with Mark. We're ready to move on to the next item.
Joanne?
My only comment is that we haven't yet written the letter in response to the enforcement order, which we agreed to do. I just haven't literally had a second to do it yet. We did agree that all the terms of the enforcement order had been met, and the enforcement order is resolved. And I just want to make sure that the commission takes a quick look at that and make sure that you still want to go forward with that. And
Yep.
it would be my recommendation that you do issue this letter.
How do we see that letter?
What was that, John?
How do we see that letter?
Oh, well, your agent has to write it and then send it to you.
All right, very good. That'll do. Okay. Anything else briefly before we move on?
Thank you for your time.
David, how are you feeling? You gave away, you did platelets?
Yeah, I am with the Red Cross. I'm a specialty platelet donor like every 10 to 15 days. So today was just a little tighter on the schedule than I thought.
Yeah, well, hey, bless you for doing that. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, thank you, David. Okay, gentlemen, I guess we're all good for right now. We'll move on. The next item this evening is the public hearing adopting regulations for Ayer local wetlands protection bylaw. We approved the regulations last time, but we didn't close out the public hearing. Is that correct?
That is correct. And we also have the excellent news to report that the newly adopted regulations were filed with the town clerk on February 1st. So they're freshly out in the world, giving us a little bit of control over the first 50 feet of the buffer zone, which we haven't had before.
Good, that's exciting.
And to be really clear, that's first 50 feet of previously undisturbed land in the
Yes.
natural state.
Yes, thank you, Jess. Yes.
It was a lot of hard work by Jess and Mark getting those regulations hammered out. Appreciate it. So is there a motion to close the public hearing on adapting regulations for Ayer local wetland protection bylaw?
So moved.
Second.
was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
aye,
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next item this evening is a discussion, the coordination of open space residential development, OSRD process with the planning board. And we met with the planning board back, it was the 22nd of January. And had a very nice meeting with the members that were there. Jess, do you want to fill us in a little bit?
Me?
Yes, please. You and Jonathan were key in working on these.
Well, just that we had that joint meeting, discussed various issues for all people concerned. And I think one of the things that had come out was that would be good for planning board to put some of its guidelines into the form of regulations that have more teeth rather than suggestions. I'm just remembering this. I haven't thought about this for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Ken, you were one of the 2 planning board members there. So. Ken Diskin, you want to say anything or?
I just wanted to, I guess what I would say is that I think we were all pleased that we started the process of working with conservation to tighten up the way we look at an OSRD from the very get-go, so that we have a better understanding of the teeth that might be in your determination and how we would take that and bring it into our final decision, which is to approve your recommendation. So I think everybody's on board that it was excellent. And we appreciated the time you put in.
I did have one suggestion in terms of, the question that Ken, you've asked and some others have asked a few times is why we don't look at potential lot layout.
No, I didn't ask that. I understand why you don't do it.
Right. But what I was have been thinking on would be maybe an interesting attempt at our next one, would be, how when we get looking at proposals, we have the cost estimate blind. We don't see that until we've decided on the consultant we're going to go with.
Okay.
What if we did our conservation recommendation the way we've been doing it? If there's a potential initial preliminary plan out there, have that sort of sealed and, out of our view until we've done our initial recommendation. And then we figure out where the high priority, et cetera, is. And then we just, in the same meeting, just pull out that preliminary plan and then see how it matches up with what we're recommending. And then using that to see where, if we want to say, okay, they want to build here, but we really would prefer that they don't build right there. We'd rather you give over in this other area or something like that. So at least just in our process, just have a little two-step, quick two-step.
I think Mr. Chairman, if I have a chance to mention one more thing.
Of course.
I think Joanne's guidelines pretty much cover what we expect the applicant to do, but in real time, that hasn't happened. I think this is the third one. And if I'm not mistaken, Joanne, they've basically come in with the plan before we've gone through the first couple of steps, which is to evaluate the high priority and let them, work around it rather than coming in with the plan and having us work around it. If that's kind of what's happened, I guess. But
Oh, no, and it's so interesting because I, as a member of the land use team, I get to see kind of preliminary pre-application presentations by a lot of applicants, and I explain to all of them, please, 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 this OSRD process is completely upside down from traditional subdivision development. And I'm still working on how to get through, because I have not been successful. It's likely that I will continue to be unsuccessful. And so if we can help the planning board to take those guidelines and turn them into very simple regulations, I think that's, I can talk till I'm purple. And unless there's a regulation, I'm not going to get anywhere.
So Joanne, you said you're seeing these as part of the land use committee. So when an application is brought in or presentation, it's going to the planning board first, is what you're indicating?
No.
No, not necessarily. This is, I'm trying to think of an example.
Thank you, Jen.
But I can't.
Well, you guys meet on Thursday, right? The land use, something like that?
Yeah, every other Thursday. And if there's a developer who wants to do a project in town,
Right.
we say they've contacted Mark, the planner, he'll invite them to this land use team
Right.
meeting, pre-application, so that the developer can meet with police, fire, DPW, planning, me, zoning, all at the same table, and kind of get a feel for what the application process is going to look like. If a project has to go to zoning and planning and conservation, and there's a concern on the part of the fire department that the trucks can't make the turn, we feel this is a real service to people doing development before they get into design work, which is expensive. Planning, this kind of pre-planning is very inexpensive. It really doesn't cost anything but time. So that's how we find out about things before we actually get the applications.
So then right there, why couldn't we just change it such that Mark is essentially the gatekeeper? So when they reach out to him saying, I'd like to do XYZ, he can do here's a timeout. Here's our OSRD. This is the process you need to follow. Conservation Commission first. We don't want to see anything from you until then.
And he did that, but it's still, I feel pretty comfortable that he did that, but it didn't really change the idea that they came in with a plan that they wanted to work with. So ultimately it gets through the process, but certainly would be better if the other thing that happens too is we don't know what they're going to build on the land. And if it's a single family house lot versus, let's say, a condominium, which we haven't seen, it can change everything. So they could, the funny part about this OSRD, or one of the interesting things, is you can get a lot of density. You could probably build 100 condos in the area that you could build 20 houses and stay completely out of the buffer zone. But that has nothing to do with the developer may really feel comfortable with and what he's willing to put money on the line for. So.
Right. And I think a lot of times developers have been thinking about a project way longer.
Yeah.
And then, they know they have to work the regulatory process, but they already have their project in their head. So I really do think, and I've spoken with Mark Archambault about this. I really do think the way to make a point very clear is to have a very simple regulation in the planning board that says basically what the guidelines say. And then I do like Jess's two-part process. We I don't want to say accidentally, but we ended up doing that very thing, saying, wow, we really think this particular high priority area is much more valuable than this other area that's buffer zone to a really
With Shaker Mill Pond and you're talking about.
yeah, yep. And so we had an applicant who was so interested in the outcome of his 1 minute left. Oh my goodness.
All right.
That he worked with us and but he didn't have to. There were no regulations in place. But it was what Jess calls horse trading. And he was very amenable to working through that with us. And as a result, the project is going to be a great project, and the really valuable buffer zone to an important resource area is practically untouched, the whole 100-foot buffer zone. But I think unless you have a willing applicant, the only way you're going to get that kind of cooperation and collaboration is with a regulation, unfortunately.
Yep. Well, I think we can all agree that it was a very good start, and things will get better.
Thank you.
And thank you for chiming in, Ken. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yep. And okie dokie. So do we have conservation office updates?
We haven't had those in ages.
I know.
I
I had
know.
the time for those.
I know, and I kind of just didn't really even make any. I also didn't do the packet preview. You know, this tells you where things are at here out in the world. No, we've been, let's see, so updates, Catania Oils is going to be coming to us with a notice of intent. They're putting a gigantic addition onto their building on the corner of Nemco Way and Westford Road. Essentially removing a stormwater basin and replacing that same amount of infiltration in a subsurface honeycomb sort of affair. Should be pretty interesting to see the engineering on that. McDonald's is going to be doing a facelift on their building and adding a second order lane. And they prefer not to delineate the resource areas that back up to that building, and are willing to consider their whole project in riverfront area. And I think I may have found a place in the regulations that give them an exemption. But I need to double check that with the circuit rider. What else do we have coming in? Our beloved Steve Smith, the volunteer stewardship monitor for Autumn Ridge Conservation Restriction, has completed his annual monitoring plan and has an agenda date, I think, of March 25th to come give us a virtual presentation.
Nice.
The pond treatment.
Oh, yes, the RFQs went out for the pond treatment today. We actually have 2 robust contenders and a third person who we send it to every year. And every year he says, thanks, but ask me again next year. So I did. I don't know, help me out, Jess, here. What else have I been talking to you about?
Well, I know one other thing we should mention was we just did pass an initial version of regulations. I suppose, Mark, you're the ringleader on it. At some point, we should consider some of the things we left out or didn't take up at this time, and maybe later in the summer or something we can get to filling in some of the blanks.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
that would be good. We could, I'd be happy to meet with the committee of two to kind of map out a strategy to fill out those regulations a little bit. But I'm so pleased that we've been able to get ourselves some regulations. So bravo to you all. One other thing that was in the packet is the request for proposals for the Wild and Scenic Rivers Stewardship Council. They're going to give out 4 grants of up to $5,000 a piece for oh gosh, they've got a list of all kinds of possible projects. And
What about that boat launch potential on the Nashua next to the Buddhist Center?
well, so Al Futterman and I met with the very patient Doug Cameron from the Office of Fishing and Boating Access on the coldest, windiest, wettest day you could even imagine. And Doug was very indulgent, as I said, well, what about this? And he would shoot it down. I said, well, look over here. What about that? And he would find a reason that that wasn't any good either. And we kept that going by email a little bit. I said, well, so what if we try to get the waiver for to not have to be ADA compliant? He said, well, and he was sending me sketches of these ridiculous ridiculous lengths we would have to go to actually utilize that site. And you know, I never say die, but I finally said, all right, I give up. This is just not going to work. So there's a remote possibility that Paul McManus, who is working with the Buddhist temple, is going to come up with some proposal that we might be able to permit on that site. And the monk at the temple had said when they first acquired the property that that he would like to have some kind of boating access, and that he also wants to invite the community onto the property. So that's still out there as a possibility. Faith Salter emailed last week, I guess. She thinks she might have found a site closer to the Ice House dam. And so we've pulled Al Futterman into that as a possible site too. So we're still flipping over rocks, and we'll get there eventually. I think it's tough. It's really challenging.
While we're on the subject of boat launches, can we sometime in the near future discuss the Flanagan Pond public access? And try to get that going?
Sure. Let's talk next week, and we'll put it on an upcoming agenda. I did find in looking at the assessor's map, and you guys can do this too if you go to the assessors or even the MRPC website, you can get to the air assessing maps. If you look at where, I can't remember now if it's Eastern or Western Ave off Oak Ridge Drive, they kind of make a U-shaped loop.
Yep.
One of them continues across Oak Ridge Drive as a paper street. right down to the edge of Flanagan Pond. I forget what I was looking at that I came across that and it was like, well, I didn't know that. And that might be a possibility.
Although parking would be an issue.
Parking, yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, David?
Go ahead, David.
Yes, that was presented to the Conservation Commission about 12 years ago. But it was never, I thought actually both properties went down. One of them has a pump station installed next to it, but still, plenty of area to get down to this thing. So yeah, that's definitely a good area. It would mean street parking, but not on Oak Ridge. You can actually park on the east and west. I also don't remember which one was the easier, but yeah, that's a good location, much better than the one down off of Snake Hill. That would be great.
There's another one too, that isn't there, off of the old Sandy Pond?
Well, the commission owns a piece of land on Old Sandy Pond Road. But it's the same really shrubby, shrub swamp kind of for tens of feet that would be, that's similar to the Snake Hill
Would
property.
require a large dock or a long dock.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it would, I don't know.
Old Sandy Pond is very, very marshy, very wetland area. There's very little solid ground there. That was another site looked at 12 years ago. That would be a very tough one, in my opinion.
Well, for a future time, we'll discuss this.
Yeah, well, let's, if you help me remember, John, we'll make an agenda item about it and we can have some maps and do some brainstorming.
All right, sounds good. Any other conservation office updates?
Not that I can think of. We're in a teeny bit of a lull. I hate to even say that out loud. So I should be able to get caught up with some of the other stuff that's been piling up.
Okay. Member updates?
Nope.
Now's your chance. So, how are you guys all doing? You all look really tired.
Fun pandemic days.
Yeah. Everybody okay?
I'm fine. I'm not on your commission, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
I do have one thing, if I could add as a public input. I'm sorry, I did it at the end, but
Oh, no, go ahead, Ken. We have time.
so I wanted to thank Joanne. She did give us the 30th anniversary issue from the Mass Wildlife, I think it is, if I don't get it wrong. I have finished it and passed it to Jonathan, who has finished it, and it's now in the hands of Jeff Tillotson. So all 5 planning board members will read that document, and it was incredibly informative.
Isn't it just
As she knew
amazing?
before she gave it to us. I
Well-
was gonna give her a call and maybe we could set up a training session where, is it Ann Gagnon or someone from over there, I'm not sure who, would come out and give the planning board some training on that NHESP. So we could really be a little more thoroughly informed the next time it comes up. So that's all.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, Ken, you can thank George directly. He's the one who gave up his
Oh,
copy
okay. Well,
to
it was
share.
good.
Oh, it was so good. I learned things that I didn't know about the way that that program works. It was really very, I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that with everybody. And I bet Anne wouldn't be the person, but somebody from the Natural
Somebody, yeah.
Heritage Office. I'm sure.
Misty Ann?
Misty Ann or Eve Rose. They all have hyphenated names over there. But they're very good. They're very good. Well, that's good news.
I was gonna, the wild and scenic, I asked a question, this is an interesting question that I posed about this to the lady who started it all a couple of years ago. And I was trying to determine the extent of their reach, meaning it's supposed to be this, the Nissitissit, the let's see,
Squanicook.
yeah, Squanicook, the Nashua. But my question was, how far does that reach? In other words, does it stretch to streams like the streams that go through Ayer and other things that are connecting, tributaries is the word I'm looking for, to try to figure out really how far the reach was for grants that might come all the way into Ayer.
Hmm.
So it's just a question I throw out. Maybe it's another question you guys could follow up on.
Well, I think the Wild and Scenic Stewardship Council considers anything in any of the 11 towns that
Okay,
comprise this area as being worthy. Because anything that happens in Ayer, anywhere in Ayer, with the exception of Bennett's Brook, flows to the Nashua. Bennett's Brook actually goes the other way.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
As usual, I was trying to make a case for more bureaucracy in any project that might be abutting or near my home at
Mhm.
the time. But that was the research anyway. So
Well,
thank you very much.
The one project that I thought of for the Wild and Scenic was grant program was getting some signs made, like when you go from
Right.
Ayer into Shirley on 2A, there's no sign that says you're going over the Nashua River. And Groton, I think, had a Girl Scout project where someone went and made the beautiful signs at all the stream crossings. Basically, anywhere a road goes over a stream, there's a sign telling you this is James Brook, or whatever it is. And we don't have anything like that in Ayer, and that seemed like it might be a good worthy of a grant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ken.
Joanne, you also were working on something with the library?
Oh, I am working on something with the library. In fact, we're having a meeting tomorrow. We're working on a poetry path for Pine Meadow because we alliterate a lot. So I've made a little prototype of a wooden a piece of pine board with a poem transferred onto it, sealed in spar varnish that we would affix to trees with bungee cord. So 10 poems along the path in interesting places, up for 6 weeks. We might produce a little booklet that has the poems printed in it, and maybe a little map to go along with it. And ordinarily, this would be a great project to involve all kinds of input into. But we're doing this sort of under the radar, just as a gift. It's gonna be installed in the middle of April. Just here it is. It's a present. It's a gift. With a thought that it's a way to encourage people maybe who haven't been to Pine Meadow to go and see what an amazing place it is.
Mhm.
And the best possible outcome I can think of is that we get a family who's lived in Ayer, never been to Pine Meadow. They go out, they see the trails, they read the poems, they realize they don't have a library card. So they go to the library and get a library card and ask them for 2 bags of books, 1 bag full of poetry books and the other bag full of field guides. And so Tim and Barbara Cheeks, who's the head of adult services, and I are working on this, and it's such, oh my gosh, it just lifts my spirits to be thinking of this gift to the town. I'm doing the sign production on my own time as a volunteer. And I'm just all kinds of excited about this. So if you have any favorite nature poems, send them to me and I'll add them to our selection pool. And we're also trying to represent as many different voices as we can. So people of color, native people of New England whose land this was, in fact, women, you know, all kinds of people, not just the dead white poets, dead white male poets.
Joanne, could you also do that as like a geocache who, you know, where they could actually, you could put the GPS locations and have people actually go to the signs?
Well, maybe eventually, David. And I was also thinking of QR codes, but you know, for this first time out is just kind of a it's a pilot project, and it's also, it's not really a secret, but it's not for wide publication because we really do want it to be a surprise.
Great.
It's low tech. It's walking and a map.
Walking and a paper map with wooden signs that are not nailed to trees, but just kind of hugging the trees. Anyway, we're having a lot of fun with this.
Sounds like a great project.
Yep.
Anything else? Commissioners?
We have 4 minutes.
Oh, well, you know what? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are adjourned.